All right, so we're going to go into our premier programs and Shark Preview Weekends information session. Our first slide here, what is a premier program? So our premier programs at NSU are extended experiential learning opportunities, additional opportunities for engagement inside and outside of the classroom. They are opportunities for leadership development. Some of them have accelerated program tracks. Some of them allow you to reserve a seat in a graduate or professional school program. And then a lot of them also have enhanced scholarship opportunities. And then we have our little and more. There's so much more to premier programs. One way I always like to describe them is they're kind of like the cherry on top of your academic ice cream sundae. So you can see our students here at Shark Preview enjoying some Cold Stone ice cream. So that's just kind of a very overarching idea of some of the benefits of our premier programs, but we'll go into each of them individually as well. So the first main premier program that I'm going to talk about is our Razor's Edge Scholars Program. Razor's Edge is, I always say, a little difficult to explain to some students who've never heard of it before, but it is a 4-year residential program. So you do have to live on campus for this program. It is a co-curricular program. So you're doing things both inside and outside of the classroom for Razor's Edge based on a specific interest. You also are serving as a mentor in this program for our mentorship program, our peer mentorship program. You're combining kind of the academics and your interest-based option in one of 5 different tracks. So you can see those 5 tracks listed here. There is global, leadership, research. I always say those are the 3 most most easily understood ones. And then there's Shark Talent, which is for our students who are interested in the visual or performing arts. So that could be art, dance, music, theater. And then Shark Teach is a little bit special, specifically designed for education majors at NSU. That is the only one that has a major requirement. The other 4 you can actually just minor in if you like. They all come with a $24,000 annual scholarship. $20,000 of that does go towards tuition. $4,000 will go towards room and board because there is that housing requirement that comes along with this program. So what do you do as part of Razor's Edge? That was a question we got from a lot of students. So I tried to kind of combine some of the things that our students in the different Razors programs are up to. So in global, those students are earning a minor in global engagement. They're heavily involved in study abroad or travel study opportunities. They're a big player in International Education Week, coming up with different programming. The table you see here actually is part of International Education Week, where students got to showcase food and culture from the country that they were from. They do different global impact projects and symposiums, the Parade of Flags. They highlight and celebrate cultures from holidays, food, things like that from all over the world. For Razor's Edge Leadership, those students are earning a minor in experiential leadership. They're holding a leadership role on campus. They also participate in a Lead Week conference. This photo here shows our leadership students participating in the Anything That Floats raft race, which is a tradition held on NSU's campus, where students have to create a team of 6 players and build a raft out of materials that don't typically float and try to get halfway across our gold circled lake without sinking. They also do other different leadership events. They'll join student government, Sharks in Service, lead a campus organization. Last year, some of our leadership students went on a Disney Imagination Campus Leadership Retreat. So tons of different opportunities for that program as well. If you're interested in research, you could look into our research program. You can earn a minor in research studies. You will have a designated faculty research mentor. So that is a faculty member that could be doing research in an area you're interested in. You can assist them with that or be doing project with their help and guidance. You'll get hands-on research experience through this program. You can attend different conclave seminars. You'll get field experience. This past year, they did a misinformation contest. They also do different events like Girl Up, which was highlighting women in research and STEM. For our Shark Talent program, again, that's our art, performing and visual arts program. So you do have to major or minor in one of the artistic disciplines. So that's art and design, dance, music, or theater. These students are performing in our drumline or performing as vocal performance singers on campus. They're showcasing their talent in an opening of one of the galleries on campus. They're putting on a theater show in our miniature black box theater. And they're also serving as on their committees for the Shark Talent program as well, all about bringing the arts, into kind of the view of our other students on campus and really highlighting and showcasing that. Finally, Shark Teach is for education majors. These students are serving in an academic support role on campus. They are a tutor in the tutoring and testing center or a writing consultant in our writing center. Some of them serve as peer leaders for our UNIV 1000 courses. They also serve on different committees within the Shark Teach program, and they bring a lot of support to our students who may need a little bit of help academically on campus. The next program I'll talk about is our dual admission program. This is one I think that NSU is most well known for. Dual admission is the opportunity for a student to reserve a non-binding seat in one of NSU's graduate or professional programs while they're completing their bachelor's degree at NSU. So you can see here the list of all of the different graduate programs that we offer our dual admission programs into. So these are all graduate or doctoral level programs, and students have the opportunity to interview to reserve this non-binding seat in one of these programs. You can only interview for one dual admission program, and there is an eligibility criteria for all of the dual admission programs. They are all different. So each program has different requirements, just kind of like each program has different admissions requirements at the graduate level as well. I have some screenshots on the next slide about how you can kind of navigate the website to find that for your specific program. I use the dual admission dental program as an example here, just because it is one of our more popular programs. So if you were to go to nova.edu/dual and click the program you're interested in, so let's say I clicked dual dental, you'll see these kind of three colored boxes, the green, the orange, and the blue at the top. If you click the orange one, it will take you down to a section that's orange that will have the eligibility for the program. So you can kind of see here the dual dental program requires a 3.5 weighted GPA in high school, an ACT or SAT score with the requirements below. There are 2 tracks for dental, so that's why there are 2 sets of requirements for test scores. And then coursework that needs to have been completed at the high school level. So biology, chemistry, and either pre-calculus or trigonometry. So again, all of the dual programs will have this eligibility on their specific page, and you'll be able to track that. And it is all different. So every program will have its own unique set of eligibility. And our team will review that prior to you being able to interview. So you must meet these minimum eligibility requirements in order to get the interview. The interview, I would say, is really what's earning you the seat in the dual program. The eligibility is just what's getting you that interview, if that makes sense. Next up is our Fischler Academy program. This is an education program as well. It is an accelerated program where you can earn a bachelor's and master's degree program in just 4 years. It is a 3+1, so 3 years of the bachelor, 1 year of the master's program. It comes with a $20,000 annual scholarship. You also are offered a guaranteed job at the end of this program in a South Florida teaching district. A really cool aspect of this program is you also get a free international travel experience included. So our students have visited Ireland, Spain, Austria, Italy. I heard rumors they're going to Sweden this next year. And they actually get to go to these countries to study the education system in those countries. So they're not just, they are touring and getting to get a feel of these countries, but they're also going into classrooms in these countries and seeing how students are learning in these countries and bring that knowledge back to the United States to see, how we do things differently, how we could potentially change things. What are other countries doing better in education? What are we doing really well? So it's a really great way to kind of expand your knowledge in that way. And I also included here, you can see all the different fields of study, the different majors that you can be studying and still be a part of the Fischler Academy. The Fischler Academy's business sister or business brother is the Huizenga Business Innovation Academy. It is a very similar program for business. So you can also earn a bachelor's and master's degree track in just 4 years. So that is a bachelor's in 3 years, your MBA in 1 year. It also comes with a $20,000 annual scholarship. So how it works for this one, the $20,000 scholarship is for your first 3 years of the program, and then you earn a 20% discount on that MBA program. You do earn real-world experience to help you build business connections while you're in the program, and you also actually get to start your very own business as part of the Huizenga program. So you can actually start a student-run business. We have tons of them on campus right now. My favorite day of the year is when they announce the new student businesses for the semester, and I get to see what kind of businesses I get to go support and see on campus. When you graduate from the Huizenga Business Innovation Academy with your MBA, you do also have the opportunity to apply for up to $20,000 in seed funding from NSU to start your very own business. So you can actually do a Shark Tank style pitch to our faculty in the business school for up to $20,000 in startup funding. That's not a loan that you have to pay back. That's actually an investment into your real world business. You can also see the fields of study you can focus on in the Huizenga Academy. So pretty much all of our business majors. We do have another program called Presidential Scholars. This is our full tuition scholarship program, but it is also a mentorship program, and they work with our Student Success Office and our Student Success Program. You do have to be invited to interview for the Presidential Scholarship. It is about the top 10% of our admitted students are invited to interview for this. It is our most competitive scholarship, so I won't lie to any of you. It is very, very competitive. It's an honor to be selected for an interview. And these students are mentoring other students on campus. They are bringing new initiatives to our campus. They're doing a lot. I have a lot of examples on the next page. So you can see here, here's some of our students when they opened a community garden on campus. So they actually got land on campus to start a community garden, which is really, really cool. There's a few of them here participating in our campus cup as the Presidential Scholars team. They started an initiative called Cookies and Conversations, where they have somewhat difficult conversations as an NSU community, but they do it over cookies. So they pick a different themed cookie for each conversation, and they all get together and they have different talks and stuff like that. There's also different committees that these students will be a part of. So you can see some of them listed here: newsletters and social media, public outreach and advisory board. Some of them work with our prospective students and families to support transformational leadership and campus impact. And then some of them also work with our Premier Program Recognition and Presidential Scholars landing page to share about the program itself. So how do you apply for these Premier programs? What's the next step now that you've learned a little bit about them? So the first step is to apply to NSU. All of these programs do require one main thing, and that is to be an admitted student to NSU. So you do have to apply to the university. You can use the Shark Select application or the Common application. We have no preference over which one you select. My advice is always the Shark Select is a shorter application. So if you're applying to less schools, you might want to use that one. If you're applying to a lot of other schools, you might want to use the Common app because you can apply to multiple schools at once with that same application. After that, hopefully you will be admitted to NSU. Yay. You don't have to wait till you've been admitted to do step 3, which is complete your supplemental Premier Programs application. So you can you can apply for NSU and you can apply for your Premier Programs both on the same day if you like. You just won't be invited for Shark Preview until you have been admitted. So my advice is always just get all of your applications out of the way and do it early. So complete the supplemental Premier Programs application. You can find it nova.edu/Premier Programs, or if you type in nova.edu/Premier, it will take you right to the application itself. Make sure you submit all the supplemental documents needed. So there is a letter of recommendation required and different essays required for the different programs. The letter of recommendation, if you submit one with your general application, we can utilize that one for your Premier Programs application as well. You don't need to submit an additional one. The deadline for the Premier Programs application is February 1st. So again, I highly recommend getting that in sooner rather than later, so that you can have your choice at your Shark Preview weekend, which we'll talk about in a second. Step number 4 is to attend your Shark Preview weekend and interview for the Premier Programs that you have selected. These Shark Preview weekends begin in January of 2024. So how Shark Preview works: if you are eligible and admitted to NSU, you will receive an invitation to select your Shark Preview weekend preference 1 to 2 weeks after your Premier Programs application has been received and processed. We do need a little bit of time. I see a lot of you in the chat there asking questions about eligibility for dual admission, and that is the main reason it takes 1 to 2 weeks, is we have to ensure that you are eligible for all the programs you applied for. And we have to make sure you have your essays in, you have your letters of recommendation in, and all of that. After that, you hopefully will receive your scheduled email. So once scheduled, you get an official confirmation email. We ask that you don't make any non-refundable travel arrangements until you get that confirmation. We ask that because, again, it takes us a little bit of time to make sure all of your interviews are available so that we can schedule you for your preferred date. Now, there are instances where students potentially could have a program that they want to interview for that gets full. And if that happens, we would reach out to you to pick a different date, which is why we definitely ask not for you to make any travel arrangements that are not refundable until after you've gotten your confirmation and you know all of your interviews are scheduled and available. After that, you're completing your travel questionnaire. This is mandatory, asking all about just how you plan to arrive to campus, if you're coming with mom and dad, if you're bringing family members with you, or if you're coming by yourself and are needing accommodations from us. It asks about food allergies, all kinds of things we need to know. It's very important. And then we just have to wait for your Shark Preview weekend to actually arrive before we can welcome you on campus. Shark Preview weekends begin in January. The weekend program starts at 2 p.m. on a Thursday and ends at 12 p.m. around noon on a Saturday. Student and guest schedules are available, so we highly encourage students to come with their families. We want the whole family to check out NSU at the same time. We have a whole program for your guests, your family, your guardians, and you as the student have your own full program as well. All student meals are provided throughout the entire program. And then for students who can't bring their families with them and have to come by themselves, we do have limited space in a university-sponsored hotel where we can house students traveling alone from outside of our local area. So if that is your situation, you'll need to come by yourself from out of state or maybe outside of our little Tri-County area nearby. We can house you, but you do need to submit that travel questionnaire to make those arrangements. What can I expect at a Shark Preview weekend? So you are going to be interviewing for your premier programs. You actually also get a prep session from our CAPS office. So that's the Center for Academic and Professional Success on campus. So that also gives you like insight into what kind of services they offer you as a student in the CAPS office. You get to talk to current students about their NSU experience. You're going to get to talk to a bunch of current students. You can receive a campus tour, try out the dining hall and the food, and even the recplex and the gym if you're interested. You get to meet other students who have also been admitted to NSU. So remember, these are going to be your future classmates, your future roommates, your future best friends. You actually get to make that connection before you actually start as a student at NSU. We have our Club Nova social in the flight deck. So that's a lot of fun. We usually host that on the Friday after all the interviews are over. So you can de-stress, unwind, dance on the light up dance floor. And then we also host a resource fair to help students get familiar with some of the different clubs and organizations that are on campus already. So you can kind of see what's available for you as a student early. So these are the first 4 Shark Preview weekends. These are also posted on our website, these dates. These are the January and February dates. Now, historically, we have opened additional dates later. We do need to fill up these ones before we're allowed to open additional dates, though. So if you don't see the date you want, we potentially may open some additional ones, but these ones do need to fill before we have approval to do that. So you can see here the 4 dates that are available for scheduling. We have not started scheduling just yet, but we will as we kind of get a little closer and start admitting students. So questions and next steps. So just a recap to like all of these kind of steps I just went over. Submitting your Shark Selector Common App is kind of step 1 if you haven't already applied to the university. That application opened on August 1st, so it's open, accessible. Go ahead and submit that now. You'll need to get your transcripts and other documents in as well. Submit your Premier Programs application by February 1st. If you have questions about Premier Programs or Shark Preview, your best resource is going to be your admissions counselor. So I work in the admissions office with all of the admissions counselors. They work directly with me. So they are very, very knowledgeable. They can pretty much answer any question you have about Shark Preview. So reach out to your admissions counselor, get to know them. Nova.edu/meetmycounselor is how you find out who your counselor is if you don't already know them. So that's how you'll find out who is assigned to you. And if you would like to come and see campus before Shark Preview, you can also schedule a campus visit. So we do daily in-person visits and weekly virtual visits, and you can find all of those at nova.edu/visit campus. We also have a ton of other virtual sessions, kind of just like this, where you can get other information on different topics that are related to NSU. So with that, that's kind of all of the main information I had to go over, but I want to take this time now to open it up to any questions, and I can answer some of your questions live if you have them. So go ahead, if you have questions, you can put them in the Q&A feature, and I will answer them live for you all. Okay, we have our first one here. So if I'm applying for one of the dual admission programs, do I submit my SAT/ACT score into the Common App as well as the second application, or only in the dual program application? Good question, Gianna. So you actually can't submit your SAT scores with your Premier Program application. So you will need to submit your test scores with your NSU application. If you want to apply as test optional, you absolutely can for admission to the university. But if you plan to apply for dual admission, you will still need to send a copy of those test scores, either unofficially or officially, just so we can review them for dual admission. So you can still apply without test scores, but you'll need to send them for dual admission only. And you'll work with your admissions counselor to send those in, okay? What is the maximum attendees for each Shark Preview weekend? Oh, so There's not really a hard maximum, only because it depends on the program students are interviewing for. So I have a maximum amount of interviews per program, but that doesn't necessarily mean that other programs are full. So sometimes I can squeeze students in depending on what they're interviewing for. But I would say the largest Shark preview that we had last year was about 265 students. And then we don't actually count the guests and parents. So I would say probably we had about 500 people total at the Shark preview. Good question, though. They're really big events, so you get to meet a lot of different people. Any advantage of submitting the application early in getting the scholarship / financial aid, etc.? So there's no necessary benefit to doing it early. The benefit is that you get your results earlier. So you will get your results from Shark Preview 2 weeks after you interview. But the programs all know exactly how many spots they have. They know how many Shark Preview weekends they have, and they do not ever give all of their spots away. So they do have alternates, and they are placing alternates as we go. And if they get to the very last Shark Preview and they didn't have any candidates to fill their final spots, they will go to their alternate list. So you're not necessarily going to have a better chance at getting a program in the beginning versus the end or anything like that. You'll have a fair shot the entire way through. For dual admission, there are 2 pharmacy dual admission programs. What is the difference? The difference is the actual track. I believe one is a PhD and one is a PharmD. So for you, you'll need to research what you actually want to do with pharmacy and which degree is going to be required for that. And that is the one I would select to apply for. All right, Kai is asking, will this meeting count as demonstrated interest in NSU or visiting before Shark Week, a better show of that? So definitely Shark Preview Weekend is your best demonstration of interest in NSU. But yes, we will definitely be tracking the attendance for these sessions too, for sure. Our premier scholarship's the only merit scholarships that NSU offers. So no, NSU offers our Dean Scholarship, and you are reviewed for your Dean Scholarship when you are reviewed for admission to NSU. You actually find out how much you're receiving for a Dean Scholarship right on your acceptance letter. So that is our main merit-based scholarship, and then the premier programs are additional opportunities to kind of get some higher tier scholarships. Trinity is asking, for premier program interviews, what should we do to prepare? Great question. So like I said earlier, we do host a prep session with our CAPS office during Shark Preview. So you definitely will meet with the CAPS office, who are the professionals in the career world, and they will help prep you for your interview. In addition to that, we after we host all of these information sessions in all the way through January, we actually switch gears and we start to host some Shark Preview prep sessions. And we will host those typically on Mondays before the Shark Preview weekends. And we'll go over what the weather's going to be like, what you should pack, what you should wear, how to dress professionally for your interview, all of that good stuff before you get here. So we take really good care of you. We make sure you feel really ready before you get down here for your interview, okay? Don't worry about that. Would discussing AP research / AP seminar courses in the dual enrollment essay about research experience be acceptable? Yeah, absolutely. I always like to remind students that everybody applying for these programs are typically high school students. So a lot of you have very similar experiences with research, and you're not going up against, a professional who has 10 years of research under their belt necessarily. So definitely, if you've taken those kinds of courses, include that. If you've gotten to do any shadowing, include those things. If you've done any kind of special science projects or research projects, include those things in your essays. Those all look really good. Trisha is asking, on the supplemental application for the BSDO program, there's a place where we're able to attach our resume. Is there a limit on the word count or pages for the resume CV? I don't believe there is. So you can include however large it is. However, I always kind of recommend that your resume not be like larger than maybe like 2 to 3 pages, just as a professional. So I would tailor it down to like no more than 3 pages if it is longer than that. So all really, really great questions, guys. So we are at 4:32. We still have plenty of time to answer questions. If you feel like you've gotten all your questions answered, you're all done with me for the night, you are free to head out. We will be posting a recording on the same page where you signed up for the session a little bit later in the week. So if you want to rewatch it there, you can. If you have more questions, go ahead and put them in the chat for us and we'll continue answering. But if you're all done for the night, then enjoy with your family. Oh, Kai, you're so welcome. Bye, Cynthia. Have a good night.
Katie, I did want to chime in. There were some questions about the dual admission requirement for pre-calculus. I wanted to clarify just in case anyone missed my answer for that. So for some of the programs, if you might have noticed, just like dual dental medicine, students are required to have taken pre-calculus or trigonometry at the high school level. Some of you are not attending schools with exactly the curriculum of geometry and algebra 2 and then pre-calculus and then calculus. That's okay. Or if you skipped straight into calculus, we'll also take that in place of the pre-calculus requirement. For those of you in IB programs, if you're taking IB Math 1, HL or SL, that will satisfy that pre-calculus requirement. Same thing for ACE if you're taking ACE Mathematics, but not critical thinking skills though. So you have to take an actual math class with a math curriculum for it. I have some international students in here as well who are not in that, American system curriculum of naming things pre-calculus or trigonometry directly. What we will, you will need to do is that you will need to go to nova.edu/meetmycounselor and reach out to your counselor directly, and they will then reach out to the Shark Preview team to look through your curriculum to see if it mirrors the same as pre-calculus or calculus curriculum in the US.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Maureen. It can get a little tricky sometimes, but that's why we have these sessions, so we can definitely answer those types of questions. So another couple questions here. Where do families typically stay during Shark Preview weekend? Families who are coming like from out of state typically will stay at a hotel in our local area. We, I think, have a list online. If you go to nova.edu/travel, I believe Maureen was going to check that link for me. I believe there's a list of like local hotels in our area that families usually choose from. So yeah, families will typically stay there nearby. Some families have family in the area, they'll stay with them, but yeah. Can you still get invited to the presidential scholarship if you applied for the dual program? Yes. So you can interview for multiple things during Shark Preview weekend. So typically, if a student is invited for president, they might be interested in a dual program. So they'll have those 2 interviews. Then maybe they also want to interview for one of those Razor's Edge programs or maybe one of the academies. So students can be interviewing for, 4 or 5 programs during Shark Preview weekend. So yes, you can definitely interview for both. How will the delayed FAFSA availability impact admission, scholarship, and aid packages? Ooh, do you have any insight, Maureen, on that?
No, so our financial aid office is working diligently, as you all may know, and some of you may not know. So I guess this is a good time to share this information. The federal government is revamping the entire FAFSA to look at some metrics and making sure that students are getting the necessary aid that they need based on their family financial situation. With that being said, usually the FAFSA opens up on October 1. This year, it is not getting open until sometime TBD December. The federal government has not come out with a specific date in December. So my recommendation is to keep an eye out for those of you who may be eager beavers who submit a FAFSA application, it was not for the right one. For all my seniors in the room and senior or family members with seniors in the room, you need to submit the application for the 2024 to 2025 school year. We are currently in the 23 to 24 school year, but because high school seniors will start college in the year fall 24, in the 24-25 school year, that is the one that you will need to fill out, and that is the one that is not available just yet. So keep diligently checking FAFSA studentaid.gov to see if they have any updates. And of course, once we know, we are happy to share that information with you, but very likely you will all find out when we find out. We expect that, packages, financial aid packages likely will come out sometime in maybe late January, early and February, March. So no early packages this year, unfortunately. But we, our financial aid office is working their best to make sure that, families are getting financial aid packages as early as possible, once the government can give us the okay on the FAFSA.
Thanks, Maureen.
But just to clarify, your Dean Scholarship and these Raiser's Edge Scholarship and these scholarships that Katie talked about today will appear. They are not financial aid specific and dependent. So none of that will affect any of your Raiser's Edge opportunities or your Dean Scholarship if you're admitted to NSU.
Okay, here's a long one. So in answering the prompt on the application for Raiser's Edge, it's preferred we state the name of the specific faculty we're interested in doing research with. Do you recommend that we describe the general idea of the research interest? The prompt states to describe the faculty that we're most excited to work with, but I was not able to find on the website which particular faculty members do more research with Raiser's Edge scholars. So it's not specifically who does research with Raiser's Edge scholars. The program, I think, is really trying to gauge if you have researched, if any of the faculty are doing any research in what you're interested in. So what I would do is look at your major, and look at the faculty who teach in your major and some of their bios. Many of them actually have links to some of the research they're doing online, and see what they're doing. It doesn't necessarily have to be a faculty member that has a history with working with the Raiser's Edge research program, just a faculty member that's doing something that you're really interested in that you would like to work with is what the question I think is asking for. But good question. Yeah. Awesome. So that's all the questions we've answered right now. So again, we're at this point. If you have any questions, definitely put them in the Q&A feature and we will answer them. If you've gotten all those questions answered now and you're good, definitely feel free to log off for the evening. Enjoy the rest of your evening with your families. We will host another one of these next month. So if you want to catch us again, you will be able to do that. If you have more questions, you're welcome.
And also, I do also want to note that we are hosting an open house. So if you are interested in this presentation in person, Katie will be giving this presentation in person on October 28th. That's a Saturday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. I'm not sure what time Katie will be presenting, but we'll have admissions presentation, premier programs presentation, as well as some campus life activities on campus. So if you have not visited NSU or you want to visit before you come for Shark Preview, as I know I have some students who likes to do that, make it open house on October 28th.
Yes, definitely. I see a question from Yelena in here. So does a person get invited for multiple interviews? How can a person apply for different scholarships like Dean's or Raiser's Edge? So the only one that you have to be invited for is the presidential scholarship. So that's the only one that requires an invitation. If you want to interview for some of the other programs, you'll need to submit your Premier Programs application and apply for them. So that application can be found at nova.edu/premier, and that will take you right to the application itself. and you can submit it. Now, if and when you get invited for presidents, you'll actually have a link to a separate application that is specifically for the presidential scholarship, and that application will allow you to add additional premier programs if you would like to interview for those as well. If you've already submitted a premier programs application and then you get invited for presidents, you don't have to do anything special. We will simply add the presidential scholarship to your Shark Preview weekend. So I know that's a little bit complicated, but you just need to either submit the presidential application or the regular premier programs application. One of them is fine. Good question though. And we still have 17 of you hanging out with us. So if any of you guys have more questions, Maureen and I are here. Put them in the Q&A. We will answer. You're welcome, Yelena. And if you have gotten all the info you need, you can definitely head out for the evening. Is there any place to see profiles on students previously awarded scholarships? Not formally. I would say the best place to kind of see some of the students currently in some of the programs is probably on each of the programs have their own Instagram account. So some of them do student highlights where you can kind of see what the students are doing. You also can DM the programs on Instagram. So I would say that's probably the best place, but that's a really good idea for future. Maybe we can include something like that on the Premier Programs website. So thank you for asking that. Are there any additional programs / clubs? Yes. So we have over 150 plus different clubs and organizations on campus. So tons to choose from. We do have some of them come out during Shark Preview weekends that students can kind of talk with, but we also have all of them listed on our Shark Hub link. So you can kind of look through there if you're wanting to see what's available as well. How do you get into the top 10% for the presidential scholarship interview? Are you looking at GPA, SAT, and ACT scores? So yes, and also no. So we are looking at your application. They're primarily looking at, yes, your GPA test scores, things like that, but also things that you've accomplished in high school. So have you been involved in extracurriculars? Have you had like leadership roles, things like that? So I wish I could give you, you need this, and this to be qualified for presidents, but it changes year to year, dependent on our applicant pool. We get more and more applications each year, so it does change. But yeah, so that's probably about as best I can explain it. Good question though. All right, we still have 12 of you here with us. So if any of you have any additional questions, go ahead and put them in. You're so welcome. We'll hang out for, I would say, another 10 minutes or so to answer more questions. If you don't have any more questions, then we will see you next time. Does NSU have HOSA? And if it does, would you need to be interviewed, or is it like in high school? Ooh, I don't know off the top of my head if we have. Do you know, Maureen?
I'm not sure if we have HOSA. So because at the college level at NSU, students start to become more interested in just general medicine and general healthcare fields. So NSU actually has a variety of pre-professional clubs at NSU. So like off the top of my head, I know like students who are thinking about doing optometry, they have a pre-optometry club. Students who are, interested in dentistry, they have a pre-dental club. So it gets kind of more specific as far as like which healthcare field you're going into. And of course, we also have pre-health advising, and they do their own activities and funtivities for students who are like, I want to work in the healthcare field, but I'm not sure if I want to be a PA versus a DO versus a PT versus an OT, so that, that you guys can, network. And in fact, they're just now setting up a fair that is happening this semester where other graduate schools will come to talk to our undergraduate students, even from freshmen on, to employers in the local community, right? Because I think a lot of times, we know that students think, oh, I want to work in healthcare, but science is not my strong suit, but they still need a lot of people to do the behind the scenes work to help you all explore options in the healthcare field that may not necessarily deal with the bloody stuff, or will require you to be in school for 10 years. So a lot of different venues for you all to achieve your interest in your workplace later on. I hope that answered your questions, Sabrina.
There's a question here about is it okay to add things that you did in middle school to your resume, or should it only be high school? So I think that would depend on what the experience is and if it's relevant. So if you're applying for something like dual admission for like DO or for dental, and in middle school you got to shadow your dentist, like that's relevant experience and I would definitely include it. But if it was just, maybe you were in a club just for fun in middle school and it really doesn't pertain too much to the programs you're interviewing for, I probably wouldn't include it on my resume. So I hopefully that that clarifies. But yes, so we are kind of coming up to the last few minutes, and when I have 5 of you still tuned in with me. So do you 5 have any last questions before we sign off for the evening? If you do, go ahead and put them in. We'll answer. If not, we'll definitely see you next time. All right. I don't see any more questions. So at this point, I'm gonna stop our recording so we can say bye for the rest of the session.